Imagine being judged, ridiculed, and mocked every single day just for the color of your skin. That's the harsh reality one brave young girl faced when cruel classmates constantly taunted her for being too dark. Their hurtful words and sneering laughter followed her wherever she went, making her feel like she didn't belong. But instead of letting their insults break her, she decided to rise above the hate in a way no one expected. In today's story, we'll take you inside her incredible journey from humiliation to triumph, a response so powerful it left even her bullies speechless. What did she do? And how did her actions inspire everyone who witnessed it? Stay tuned, because this is a story of courage, self-love, and standing up against hate you won't want to miss. Get ready to see how one girl's epic response turned the tables in the most unforgettable way. The teasing started small, little remarks here and there. Why are you so dark? Do you ever get tired of looking like that? At first, she tried to brush it off, hoping they'd lose interest. But the bullies only got louder, and their words cut deeper. They'd laugh at her during lunch, whisper behind her back in class, and even post cruel comments online. No matter how hard she tried to ignore them, it felt like their words followed her everywhere. Her confidence took a hit, but what hurt the most wasn't the words. It was the feeling of being invisible to everyone else. Teachers didn't step in. Friends didn't defend her. She felt completely alone. But what her bullies didn't know was that she wasn't the type to stay down for long. Behind the quiet exterior was a girl with a plan, one they never saw coming. One day, after another round of cruel jokes during gym class, she went home feeling completely defeated. Staring into the mirror, she asked herself a question no one should ever have to. Why am I not enough? But deep down, a spark began to grow. She realized their words didn't define her. They only reflected their ignorance. The more she thought about it, the more she decided she wouldn't let them win. She'd spent too much time shrinking herself, and now it was time to stand tall. The next day, something about her felt different. The bullies noticed it too. She didn't flinch when they made their comments. Instead, she calmly looked them in the eye and smiled, a quiet kind of strength they weren't used to. But she didn't stop there. She had an idea brewing, something bold, something unforgettable. The stage was set, but what would she do next? Word started spreading around school that something big was coming. The girl, who had always been quiet and kept to herself, suddenly seemed unstoppable. She spent her evenings working on a project, pouring her heart into it, though no one knew exactly what it was. Her bullies, confused by her sudden confidence, started to feel uneasy. The power dynamic was shifting, and they could sense it, but they had no idea how or why. Then came the day of the school assembly. The room was buzzing with curiosity as everyone filed in, unaware of the surprise waiting for them. When she walked onto the stage, holding a small stack of papers in her hand, the entire auditorium fell silent. All eyes were on her, including the bullies who exchanged nervous glances. What could she possibly have to say? As she took a deep breath, the tension in the room was electric. She looked out at the crowd, her hands steady, her voice calm. For a long time, I let people make me feel small. I let their words sink in, thinking maybe they were right, but not anymore. Her words hung in the air, and whispers rippled through the audience. Then she stepped aside to reveal a large screen behind her. With a single click, images and words began flashing across it. Photos of her, paired with the cruel comments the bullies had posted online. Gasps filled the room. The bullies sat frozen, their faces pale. But instead of attacking them, she did something no one expected. She used each comment as a chance to share something positive about herself, a talent, a strength, a story that showed her resilience. You called me too dark, but my skin tells a history of strength and beauty. You said I'd never be enough, but I've always been more than enough. Then came the twist. She revealed a campaign she'd secretly been working on, a powerful message of self-love and acceptance. Her project was already going viral online, gaining support from people everywhere. The audience erupted in applause, But the bullies' reactions told a different story. They weren't just embarrassed, they were scared of what might come next. The room was buzzing with emotion, applause, cheers, and even a few tears. But just as the excitement reached its peak, she paused and looked directly at the bullies. Her voice softened, but her words carried weight. "I could use this moment to call you out, to make you feel what I felt. But I won't. Instead, I want to ask you something. Why? Why did you feel the need to tear me down?" The room fell silent again as the bullies shifted uncomfortably. For the first time, they looked small, unsure, and even ashamed. One of them hesitated, then stood up, their voice trembling. We didn't think about how much it hurt you. We were wrong." It wasn't an excuse, but it was a start. Then, the twist. She pulled out a second part of her campaign, letters of forgiveness, written to each of them. "Hate ends where understanding begins," she said. The room erupted in applause once more, but this time it felt different, like healing had begun. What started as a story of pain ended as one of transformation, not just for her, but for everyone watching. As the assembly ended, the crowd left with something they hadn't expected, a lesson in compassion, resilience, and the power of forgiveness. The girl walked off the stage with her head held high, surrounded by classmates who now saw her in a completely different light. Her courage to stand up, not with anger but with grace, had changed everything. The bullies, though embarrassed, seemed genuinely moved. Some approached her afterward, offering quiet apologies, while others stayed back, lost in their own thoughts. The campaign she started continued to grow, spreading a message of self-love and acceptance far beyond the school walls. She became a source of inspiration, not just for those who'd faced similar struggles, but for anyone who had ever doubted their worth. Her story was proof that even in the face of hate, kindness and strength can create change. And in that moment, she knew she had won.